We have come a long way since the days of Pong with how video games have evolved over the years. The gameplay, graphics, presentation, and especially the storytelling have all grown to be incredible pieces of art that are nothing short of inspiring. The Souls games, in my opinion, are definitely within that category of games that inspire. For those who don't know what these games are, they are separate franchises made by FromSoftware, which consist of Demon Souls, the Dark Souls trilogy, Bloodborne, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, and the most recently released, Elden Ring. These games are known for their incredible level of difficulty and rage-inducing gameplay, but also for the amazing worlds that each game has created. Each game, although have their flaws, are nothing short of masterpieces in game design, world building, and gameplay. Now, if you don't like these games for one reason or another, that's fine. Everyone has their own opinion, what's good and what's not. But I'm not here to review these games, but rather to talk about how these video games inspired and helped me through a very difficult point in my own life. Now, this has emotionally been one of the hardest scripts to write for a video. Just going over all the things I've gone through and how it pertains to the Souls games. That, and the need to go over the script again and again, sometimes completely rewriting it. It's been a struggle. For those who don't know, I suffer with depression and anxiety practically on a daily basis, with some days being okay and others, well, basically being an internal hell. So that's one struggle I've dealt with for as long as I can remember, to be completely honest. Then, at the end of 2021, I wound up getting COVID. I had it for a month and had to go to the hospital and spend some time there away from my wife and 2 sons, being out of commission for most of the Christmas season. When I did get home, it was difficult for me to do anything. I'm someone who always likes to be productive, and on top of that, I was the stay-at-home parent in my marriage, so the fact I was not able to do the things that were in my role as the parent and partner to my wife made me feel worthless and hollow. It was one of the most difficult points in my life, as not only were my depression and anxiety at an all-time high, and my health was terrible, but this was the first time where I personally dealt with the concept that my life could end at any time. I mean, this was the first time in my life where I actually thought about making a will. It put me into a dark mindset that still hasn't really left me. During the time when I was back home recovering, we set me up in our bedroom with our small TV and my PlayStation 5. I used it to mostly watch YouTube videos while I was resting, but when I felt up to it, I'd also play a few video games here and there. Mostly easy games. Assassin's Creed, Conan Exiles, Red Dead Redemption 2, games where I knew I wouldn't be stressing myself out. But then I remembered I had Demon Souls Remastered, and the Dark Souls trilogy, that I had stopped playing for a while due to just being frustrated with them due to their difficulty. And I thought, why not give them another try? Which is a weird thing to suggest to yourself as you're recovering from any sickness, never mind COVID, to play some of the most stressful video games ever made. As I played through Demon Souls, I found myself not only enjoying it more than I used to, but also pushing myself to defeat the bosses and make my way through the game, learning the bosses' patterns, grinding, and leveling my character to get stronger and to eventually defeat these monsters. Eventually, I beat Demon Souls. And then that's when I thought to myself,
that was good. Let's get another one.
I might have known.
I eventually played through and beat Dark Souls 2, the first Dark Souls game I ever played back on the PlayStation 3. I then beat Dark Souls 3 and destroyed the Lord of Cinder, made it through Dark Souls 1 and relit the flames once more. It wasn't until about a month later when I was playing Dark Souls 3 with a friend watching and I defeated the Nameless King for the first time. He's one of the hardest and most epic bosses in any of the Dark Souls games. When I practically jumped off the couch and celebrated my victory over a boss who I had died to over and over again. My friend was laughing and I just looked over at her and said, "What?" Laughing with her. And she said, "I know how much defeating them means to you." I don't know if she knew exactly what she was saying to me, But afterwards, when she left and I stayed up a bit longer, I cried. Destroying each of these bosses and making my way through these difficult games turned into the fight with my own mental health and the struggles that I was and still am going through. I found that these games were helping me cope with the difficulties I was going through with my physical and mental health that I was losing through COVID and through many of the other problems that were plaguing my life. Each boss represented an internal battle I was going through, as I made it to the end hoping to relight the bonfire inside me. I was fighting my literal demons. As I kept playing, I delved more into the lore of these games, due to being very interested in how the world of Dark Souls in particular worked. Now, the lore of these games can be very deep and a little vague at times, but it was the lore of Dark Souls that spoke to me the loudest. And a quick disclaimer to Dark Souls fans out there who are watching this, I apologize hardcore if I get any of the information on the lore wrong. Most of the humanoid enemies you fight through the Dark Souls games are called Hollows, men and women who have succumbed to the undead curse, losing their humanity through numerous resurrections as they try to relight the fire and fail time and time again, eventually giving into hopelessness and the abyss they become hollow. Going hollow can be compared to mental health illnesses such as depression and anxiety, as the overwhelming things of the world and fears in your life weigh upon you to the point where you might give up and become what Dark Souls calls hollow. And trust me, the world of Dark Souls is a very depressing one, with the very fire that lit the darkness beginning to fade, the gods becoming corrupt, and humanity itself starting to lose itself to the undead curse. It's really no wonder why someone would lose themselves and become hollow, just like in real life. One of the other elements that really stood out to me was the concept of the bonfire. In the game, it's a simple mechanic where you reach a checkpoint in the game, and when you die, you go back to that bonfire. It is also an opportunity to regain some of your humanity as your character begins to go hollow. One of the best ways to interpret the bonfire is this is your time to rest, to regain your strength, your hopes, your humanity, before going back into the real world and fighting the obstacles that block your path. My bonfire will always be my children, my greatest loves, and the two most important people that I have fought all of my past struggles so hard for just so I could meet them one day and love them. They give me hope, rest, and although they can be a struggle sometimes, it's always worth being there with them, for them, experiencing life with them and seeing their beautiful faces. I guess as I started to make my way through these games, watching YouTube video upon YouTube video and just discovering more about the lore and feeling this sense of accomplishment and positivity about myself as I overcame these incredible obstacles with the Souls games, I was able to really come to terms with a lot of elements about my depression. I was able to come to some kind of better understanding of my internal struggles. I'm not cured by any means. I'm still having hardcore depressive episodes here and there, but it came to me just how impactful video games can be as an art form and how they can offer forms of positive inspiration to people that can impact your life, rather than just being some mindless form of entertainment.
Why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
You still haven't given up on me.
Never.
I don't think I have ever come across a video game when it comes to its design, art form, world building, and gameplay that matches this quote more than the games that FromSoftware has created. Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and all the others are built on how the player can be better, how they can become stronger, and how they can overcome the toughest obstacles in their life, and that nothing can stand in their way, with enough determination and the people you meet along the way. Even now, months after having COVID, I am now dealing with some of the greatest depths of sadness and depression in my life due to a major loss I've had, and it's not going to get any easier. But the things I have learned about myself by playing these games has helped me a lot in understanding who I am, my struggles, and the best ways in how to overcome them and hopefully one day defeat them. For the sake of the love I have for myself and who I am, and for the sake of my greatest loves I have in my life. But now we reach the end of this video where I will end with these last statements. To those who have friends who are fighting their own personal demons, take the words of Solace to heart. Why not help one another on this lonely journey, and engage in jolly cooperation? Be a beacon of hope to others, and aid them when you can. And to those who are fighting the same battles that I'm fighting, we will get through this. Whether that might be alone, or with a friend, or with family, we will defeat the monsters and survive the abyss. So go on, become the Elden Lord, be the hunter and fight the monsters, light the fire and restore your humanity. Be safe, my friends, and don't you dare go hollow.